What's up, everyone? This is Matt Mrozek, and this will be work in progress / update number 4 on the Sosa Wolverine for Chris Crespo. So today was, well, yesterday was a very long day. I worked till 3 a.m. prepping the Wolverine, the 2 Captain Americas, the Hellboy some more. I had a Magneto head I had to do. And today was all about doing skin tone. So yesterday was all about prepping kits, fixing errors, and even today as I was painting, I was finding some small errors. Like I was starting to paint the Wolverine heads, I had to sand, I found some spots that needed some sanding. So I actually didn't start painting skin tones until about 2 o'clock, which was like 5 hours past what I want, or not 5 hours. I wanted to start around 10 o'clock this morning, and it was like 4 hours past what I wanted to do. But I got done finally with all the skin tones of all my projects today, and I tell you what, the Wolverine skin tones, these are my best by far that I've done on anything so far. Now, in here, they're getting a tiny tad washed out. They're a little more fleshy looking than this, but man. And these took me the longest. I worked really hard. I wanted to try to get a very realistic skin tone. There's some guys that are just so good at it, and they have, I don't know their techniques. I've asked a few guys, and they straight up just won't tell me. It's like their trade secret. But just by looking at different examples, I've kind of figured out a few of the techniques and applied them here. And it won't show up unless I get really close. But so let me explain what I did to get this. And like I said, this is a little washed out. His skin tone, like my skin tone is very pale right now, but if you're to look at my skin tone in real life, it's very similar to what this looks like right now. So I've got the 4 heads, all skin tones are done. Now I still have to do the veins and the hair and all that stuff, but just to give you a sense of what these look like and to show you that they are all the same. Just take my hand on those, you know, so. The shading is very natural, very smooth transitions. So right now the shading's getting a little washed out here because my lighting, and I don't want to make it too contrasty because the camera will do weirder things. So there's the 2 unmasked portraits. Here are the masked portraits. And now the masked portraits will get, most of this will be covered with 5 o'clock shadow. The only portion that won't be covered in 5 o'clock shadow is basically like the cheekbones. The whole face pretty much gets 5 o'clock shadow, but I still did the whole same skin treatment on these. And I'll put the arms on in a second. I just sealed them about an hour ago, and I'm a little reluctant to put them into the body with the fear of scuffing them up. The heads I can put in because the skin doesn't touch anything on the heads. Here's the other one, the custom head. Like that. I'm going to show you the base too that I repainted yesterday, but man, I am super happy with these. I showed Chris a couple cell phone pictures, and it's so hard to show accurate color in a cell phone picture or a cell phone video. A lot of times I just have to tell people, look, just trust me. I was doing that with So New on this Hulk. I was trying to send him pictures, and it's just like impossible to show accurate color. I'm going to put them in just a little bit. I'm not going to put it all the way in. But man, so let me put a head on with that. Let me put the other arm in too. I'm not going to push it all the way in because I don't want to, like I said, these have been sealed, and I don't want to, if they were sealed all the way, if they were sealed and cured overnight, I wouldn't have a problem sliding them in all the way. A good chance that the paint would not scuff. But since so there they are. So I'm going to explain what I did. It's a very long process, but it worked magnificently. So the first thing I did is I base coated everything in Stynol Res Flesh Primer. And this is a really good starting point for a flesh. From there, all my colors were GarageKit.us colors. And the first thing I did, and this took the longest, all I did was do flecking. And that means you take a brush, a stiff brush like this, you dip it in the paint, and you simply fleck paint all over it. And I actually got my base skin tone by simply by flecking paint. And I started with GarageKits.us. Jesse needs to change the name of his paints. Dark African. Flecked that all over so it looked like he had freckles all over. And then I did that, and then I went to sorry, let me get the next one out. The medium African flesh, again, flecked that all over. And by that time he was looking a little dark. And actually a really good base coat for Caucasian skin for the GarageKits.us colors is the light African flesh. It is, like, the flesh colors are too peachy. They're way too peachy. This is a perfect Caucasian flesh tone. So after flecking the dark and the medium African flesh, and I did little specks of that, pretty small, so meaning I did my brush in the paint, I got a lot of it off, and I did really small flecks. Then I went back with the light African flesh, and I loaded up my brush, and I just flecked it on real heavy. And what that did is when it hit those other droplets, and I didn't seal anything, I wanted everything to kind of meld together. When the bigger droplets hit the smaller droplets of the dark and the medium, it just kind of helped blend everything together. So you can still see through, and now on top of that, there's like 8 different layers of paint, but they're very thin. So you can see you can actually see all the way through, again, all the way down to my primer. You can see all the layers. You can see a little of the freckles, and I would guess you'd call maybe some of the ones that are slightly bigger age spots, but man. And then after I did that, after I did the flecking, and I was happy with that, I sealed it with Krylon matte, and then I went in and I started doing some shadows. And I started with GarageKits.us Pale Flesh. When I first did this, it was a little on the orange side, so I kind of, once I did one face, I had to go through the whole process. I had to do every piece because it had to be the same. So I just did a little bit of that because it was hitting a little orange. So I did that, but then I went back with GarageKits.us Transparent Rich Brown, and I went in real tight with the airbrush and did all the shadows. And I hit those pretty hard because like when I do anything else, I'm taking it really dark and then I'm bringing it back up and then I'm bringing it down, going back and forth until I get everything kind of working together. So I got to hit the shadows really, really heavy, and he looked pretty kind of crazy. You know, if you see Kenny's work, Alessandro, his skin tones, his paint jobs are really contrasty. It almost looked like that, but not as good, trust me. He's got a real punchy technique to his painting, which is really cool. I wasn't going for that. I want something a little more realistic. So I did the shadows really, really dark and kind of made them real punchy. And then what I did, I'm surprised I remember all these steps, but I actually had a game plan in my head because I'm thinking to myself, how do I get all these different layers? How do I get the freckles and everything to look realistic? Because you don't want them to be on top of the skin, they gotta be underneath the skin. Let me find the color. It was GarageKits.us. Anyway, it's not, it's a semi-transparent color, meaning that's not opaque and it's not transparent. Anyway, it's called Semi-Transparent Garage Kit Flesh. And this is, like I said, these aren't like really good Caucasian skins. They're kind of white and pink. So after I did the shadows, I went in and hit all the highlights with the semi-transparent of this and brought those up really bright. So then he had really dark shadows, really bright highlights, and all these freckles, and he looked kind of weird. So then the trick was to go back and blend it all in. And as I mentioned before, the light African flesh is a great Caucasian skin tone. So what I did is I put that on my airbrush, and I was way back and had my air pressure way up, like 30 psi. Just started misting it on real light and just kind of building it up, and then it all just kind of melded together, and that's what you're seeing right here after all those steps. So fleck dark brown African, fleck medium African, fleck light African over the primer, hit the shadows with the rich brown, transparent rich brown, or sorry, first with the Garage Kits Pale Flesh, then hit the shadows with the rich brown, hit the highlights with semi-transparent Garage Kits Flesh, then blended it all together with African Flesh. So see, primer, dark, medium, light, shadows, highlights, blending. So 8 steps. 8 steps to get the look I want, and I love it. I could not be happier. So I know I sent Chris a few pictures. Oh man, it looks great. And I was like, yeah, but it's wait till you see it in person. You're gonna really love it. The arms are a real good representation because they have a little more shape to them, a little more shadowing and stuff. So once they do the veins and the hair, man, it's gonna look really, really sick. So that's for the flesh, and now I'm going to show you the base. I'm just going to take the camera off the tripod here because the way my tripod is set up is kind of hard to lower. So last night's video was respraying the base, and it's been cured, and it's a little dusty now because it's been sitting over on the side here. So I'll just kind of try to wipe my fingerprints off. But so other than like, so I'll show you, like, that's all lint, but it's pretty damn shiny, really slick. I gotta go through and I gotta sand out a couple pieces of dirt. I think there's one here, one there, but I put a plenty of clear on. There's like 6 good coats of clear. So what I'm gonna do, instead of wet sanding the whole thing, so I don't have to, if you see like the shine there, there's no orange peel. It's slick as glass. So basically just gotta go through and hit the spots of dirt, sand those out and polish it, and the shiny part of the base is done, and then I can mask this and paint the stone. And this paint part will go pretty quick. Anytime you do a gloss surface, it takes some time. Not really the painting part, but if you don't have like a lint-free clean air booth, which I don't, you know, I don't have like a commercial grade spray room, you're gonna get dirt in your paint. There's just no way of avoiding it, so you gotta do some sanding and buffing. When I do smaller pieces like the Hellboy's horns and stuff, I can usually avoid it. But when I'm doing something big like there's inevitably there's gonna get some dirt into the paint. So, but yeah, that looks really slick. So the shiny with the dull gray top kind of stone will look really awesome. So the next step on this guy, all the skin's been sealed. I'm gonna let that sit overnight. And the next step will be doing, I'll probably either hit the veins or, I don't know, maybe tackle the eyes. Yeah, because the eyes on the mask ones just kind of go like an off-white gloss, so those will be easy, and I'll do a little, you know, a little black line around them to set them off. So those are pretty simple. The unmasked eyes are going to go brown because, you know, we've got brown eyes. So here the color's getting shifty. It's really hard. It depends on how close I get to it. The camera will try to auto-correct the color, so let's see if I can get it based on its surroundings. So right there it's looking a little pale. So if I bring it in, if it kind of gets... I had it for a second, and it's also trying to auto adjust according to my skin, but it's just not that pale. It's more fleshy, trust me. It looks really good. So yeah, I think the next thing I'm going to tackle is I may block in the hair and tackle the eyes, and then once I get all the skin done, then I'll be tackling the suit. So good progress today on this guy. But between doing this, I got all the skin done on my my Punisher, not my Punishers, the Captain Americas, the custom Magneto head. I even painted 2 other heads. Well, I'm like, hey, I'm painting heads. I might as well paint heads. I painted the head to the Sosa Spidey. Here, I'll show it to you real quick. So here's the Sosa Spidey head. And I went with a little different look on him. I want him to look a little younger, so not so contrasty shading. Again, he's looking all a little washed out here, but he looks pretty good. So yeah, that's it for the Sosa Wolverine. Super happy with the skin tones. And that's it. I'll stop rambling about how awesome I am. So, and for the people who've asked about work in progress 1 and 2, I'll put them back up. I took them down briefly, and there's no reason to tell you why, but I did. And then I'll put those back up for you guys so you can look at them. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye.